Welcome to the Own It Powercast, the place to be when you get serious about making big changes and accelerating growth in your life and in your relationships. Finally create the life you've always wanted, living life on your own terms. Learn how to take your fear and turn it into powerful choices that will create sustained change. Now your host, Mary Baker.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Own It Powercast, the place to come to get what you need to move yourself forward. Hey, it's Mary Baker, and welcome to episode 312, Boundaries, Family Dynamics, and Staying Sane at Thanksgiving. Well, welcome back as we finish out this month, which, as you know, has been all about boundaries, my favorite topic, and how learning boundaries is a lot more than just learning to say no. There's so many layers and levels and patterns to it that are really important to learn. And for those of you, at least in the US, you have a holiday coming up, but those of you who don't, I am sure you can find opportunities coming soon where you can apply these principles when you're with your family. So Thanksgiving in my country, I think, is a beautiful holiday in some regards. It's supposed to be about connection and gratitude and food and tradition. But for a lot of people, it's also very complicated because this can be the week where old roles get activated, childhood patterns resurface, those unspoken expectations pile up, and boundaries get tested without anyone saying a single word. You might be 45 years old, but around your family, suddenly you're 12 again, managing emotions, shrinking yourself, maybe fawning, placating, smoothing things over, or walking on eggshells just to keep the peace. So today we're talking about how families teach us or don't teach us boundaries. And what are some things that you can do this week to protect your peace? Things you can do to hold on to yourself. And what I tell clients is to pregame your way into Thanksgiving with more clarity instead of chaos and dread. Because boundaries don't ruin holidays, they save them, I think. And the best part is they save you inside them. So we talk here and there all the time on this show about family and boundaries in different ways. And we know that families teach us everything we believe about autonomy, safety, all kinds of safety from physical to emotional, our emotions, and truth. So in healthy families, there's some things that I want you to think about when you're thinking about your own family, and there's permission to feel. You can feel your feelings. People don't make your feelings about them. They let you have your feelings. Maybe they even validate them. You have the permission to say no. You have permission to disagree thoughtfully in a healthy way. And you can repair when harm happens. Like healthier families know how to do that. They know how to own their stuff in front of you and say, sorry, I shouldn't have said that. That wasn't okay. And accountability that isn't laced with shame. So adults take responsibility for their feelings without putting them on the kids, and let the kids have their feelings. So these families, I think, teach a few things. One of them is your truth won't make you lose love, even a little bit. Your needs matter. You can have limits and guess what? Still belong here. That's a big one. That's hard for a lot of families. But for many of us, that's not what we learned. Instead, we may have learned, don't upset anyone. Don't bring anything up. Don't confront reality. Don't tell the truth if it creates conflict. Keep the peace at any cost. And we can notice that even when people just don't bring up the thing. They don't say, keep the peace. They just don't say anything. They don't deal with it. Maybe we learned our feelings are too much. Or the vibe was, you don't get to have needs. You have to meet ours and what we want to do. So when you grow up walking on eggshells, you learn, to self-abandon instead of asserting yourself. You learn to anticipate other people's reactions subconsciously before you even consider your own. Like that is like a built-in knee-jerk response. You learn that harmony is far more important than honesty, because honesty might get you punished, shamed, or just iced out. And that is why holiday gatherings can feel so loaded. You're not just walking into a dining room. You're walking into a Lifetime Achievement Award ceremony for every survival strategy you've ever had. And I know that sounds dramatic, but some of you are shaking your head yes right now. Here's the thing. Here's the good news. If boundaries weren't modeled for you, you're not broken. You're just learning late what you should have been taught early. And relearning boundaries as an adult is a big part of our reparenting work. It's you giving yourself the emotional permission you never received. Like the permission to rest without earning it. To say no without apologizing. Here's a big one for a lot of people. To have needs without feeling selfish. And to take up space without shrinking. I think it's also the permission to stop fixing, stop overfunctioning, and stop carrying the weight of everyone else's reactions. They don't belong to you. Instead, I think it's working on choosing to honor what you feel, what you want, and what you can no longer do, even if no one ever modeled that for you. I think it's that quiet but really powerful shift from, oh my gosh, what will they think, to, well, what do I need? In other words, it's reparenting yourself in real time, which means creating safety and freedom that, yes, you should have had all along and you deserved, and they just didn't know how to give it to you. And again, when you're thinking about this, there's a continuum. Don't push this aside saying, well, my family doesn't do that. They might do some pieces and not do others, and it's okay. If they didn't give themselves permission, they couldn't give you these permissions, like permission to rest. Here's one for a lot of you. Permission to not be the emotional buffer. Permission to excuse yourself from chaos. All kinds of chaos. Disorganization because the family can't get their act together and have dinner on time. People acting out in the kitchen. You have permission to excuse yourself from that. You have permission to have your own opinions and to not fix everyone else's mood either. You have permission to say no thank you without guilt. It's not about rejecting your family. And that is one of the hardest things for people to absorb and make true for self. Just remember, it's about refusing to abandon yourself around family. Reparenting yourself during the holidays, I think, means you don't leave the adult version of you at the door when the old childhood self tries to survive the day. You try to stay embodied. You try to stay present. You stay on your own side. This is what I do with clients this time every year. So let's do some here. Let's talk about some practical, real life, how do I do this tools for actually surviving Thanksgiving without collapsing back into your old roles. At least maybe not completely. And if you do a little bit, don't be hard on yourself, please. The biggest thing that you want to do, and you probably know this, is to pre-game your energy. So before you even walk into any family gathering, especially ones that are layered with lots of history and expectations and old roles, I think it can really help to just pause and get honest with yourself and ask a few things. The first one is, what's going to be hard for me, do I think? Maybe it's that certain relative, it's a recurring comment, there's intrusive questions, maybe it's the pressure to perform the old version of yourself, perhaps. Naming it doesn't make you negative, it makes you prepared. And you're not slamming them, you're just looking at probably what could happen here. What has happened the last 10 Thanksgivings that I've been to? And how can I take care of myself? The next question I want you to ask yourself is, what usually triggers me? Is it criticism? Is it being dismissed? Is it feeling responsible for everyone's emotions? So when you can predict the emotional landmines, I think you're a lot less likely to step on them. I think you take your power back because remember, and this is my opinion, when we're just reacting, we're typically in our limbic system and we're just doing knee-jerk emotional responses, sometimes verbal ones out loud. But if we are thinking about them, we're in our prefrontal, we're in a different part of our brain, helps us feel a hell of a lot more grounded and capable. We're thinking logically, not like our inner 12-year-old. And that can be really helpful. And that's why it helps to do a lot of this stuff ahead of time and do it on repeat. Another question to ask yourself is, what can I do ahead of time to center myself? And this stuff really matters. We know now with the new neuroscience that it matters. It really does help calm down your nervous system. Like doing some grounding breaths in the car on the way there, a mantra that you have inside your head that you really like, maybe setting an internal boundary, like for yourself, like I'm just not going to go there, I'm not going to do this, I'm going to do this instead. Maybe planning a post-dinner decompression ritual where you go and you have some time by yourself. So your nervous system needs tending before the moment hits, during the moments, and after. And here's something I work with clients around a lot. It's really important to think about this now because once you get there, you can get caught up in the swirl and you're less likely to take care of yourself, especially with family members who don't have great boundaries. So you want to pregame, where might I need breaks? And how can I do them? What will work? Can I visualize myself doing them so that you normalize them, especially if you didn't usually do that? So decide this now. Like think about taking a walk outside, a bathroom reset, sitting with the kids for a few minutes, going in your room and closing the door, running an errand, whatever helps you stay regulated. Breaks are not an escape. They're just maintenance. You're not running away. You're not the bad child for not doing more dishes or entertaining people. And this is a part where I really want you to think about those unspoken rules in your family. Like, how do people respond when someone just wants to go take a walk or take a nap? But when you take 5 minutes to check in with yourself like this, throughout your time there, you're not being dramatic. You're being emotionally responsible. You know, awareness is half the battle because, again, like we just talked about, I think it lets you show up as the adult you are now with healthy control of your own behavior, not that child you used to be. The child you used to be didn't get to have any choices. They didn't get to decide that they could honor that their needs mattered and that they needed a break and that they felt overwhelmed or they felt dismissed. So try to think about all of those things and get a game plan in your head. Doesn't have to be airtight. Just have some options, some escape hatches, some ways to take care of yourself. You're not going to change them. They're going to do what they're going to do, but you can take care of yourself. The next thing you want to do is decide who you're going to be. And not who they expect, not who you were at 10 years old, not their emotional caretaker, not the responsible one, nor the peacekeeper. I want you to decide in advance a sentence that kind of captures who you want to be and how you want to show up. Like, for example, you could say, I'm going to be the grounded adult version of myself, like I am in the rest of my life. I take care of things, I detach, I have boundaries, I have self-control, all the things. And speaking of boundaries, I want you to think about setting some invisible ones. So invisible meaning they're not the ones you announce, you just practice them. like limiting time in certain conversations, backing out gracefully. Maybe trying not to sit next to the most draining relative. Like, why do you have to sit there? Again, taking a walk when the tension rises. Changing the subject when the gossip starts, or just don't participate. Maybe not offering to help with everything. Like, let people do stuff too. Think about what's healthiest in the scenario. Practice saying things like, I'll think about that, instead of just automatically saying yes. Invisible boundaries are very quiet, but they're very powerful because what we do speaks volumes. We know that. The other thing you can do in regards to not being able to change people is try to prepare some neutral phrases that you can use when you need them. I think they're simple, they're non-reactive, and they protect your dignity all at the same time while practicing loving detachment. Things like, I really don't see it that way, sorry. Or, that's not something I want to get into today. It's Thanksgiving. Hey, I'll be right back. I got to get into the kitchen. Or I'm good, thanks. Or I'm going to step outside for a minute and get some fresh air. Or can we talk about something lighter? So these help you keep calm because I think they help you detach and they prevent you from getting hooked. You really want to work on not taking the bait the best you can. If you do and you step in it, it's okay. People do it all day long. The more often than not rule applies here. The more often than not you can detach, you'll feel good about it. But it's not about perfection here, guys. It's about doing whatever you can, when you can, and how you can. And finally, have that exit plan. And this isn't about you being dramatic or difficult. I'm saying these things because some families can give you the vibe that you are. This is about self-respect and practice. Having an exit plan isn't about expecting the worst either. I think it's about just giving yourself options. And when you feel like you have some options, you feel less trapped. You feel less anxious and angry. You know that. Your exit plan might look like, what is the time you plan to leave? Like, not because you're rigid, but because you're honoring your limits before they're crossed. What makes most sense for you given the circumstances? Like, did you drive there? Are you staying there? And then let's say you are staying there or you drive there just because people expected you to stay until Sunday morning. Doesn't mean you have to. Anything can change. I mean, everything is contextual. Kind of look at all the variables that are going on. The other thing you want to do is if you're going with someone, have a code word with your partner or your friend. A simple signal that just says to them, you know what, I'm really hitting my edge and please support me in stepping out. Now, I want both of you to pregame all the things we're talking about today too. I help couples do that every year. And I can tell you, they come back and say, when they implemented it, it really, really helped. Like if you're going with someone, I want you to, throughout the day or the days, every couple hours, just kind of check in or if something goes down. Say, can I see you for a minute? Duck in the bathroom, duck outside, whatever you need to do, and do the huddle and check in and say, okay, how are we doing? How are you doing? Are we sticking to our plan of sanity? And that is a big thing too, because if both of you agree that there's a sanity plan, please abide by it the best you can. Don't leave them hanging out there. That's not okay. And then think about some pre-decided moments when you can step away just to regroup. Like maybe you excuse yourself after dessert, or you take a quiet breather halfway through the evening. I call them micro breaks, and they're these little tiny acts of nervous system care. Because guess what? When your body knows it has a way out, it doesn't have to brace so hard. It doesn't have to go into over-functioning or people-pleasing mode as much. Because guess what? It doesn't feel trapped. And ironically, when your nervous system knows you can leave, it actually feels safer for you to stay in that wild. And I want you to also give yourself permission to not engage. Like, you don't have to justify anything. You don't have to explain anything unless you want to. You don't have to argue. You don't have to fix. You don't take any sides. You don't have to absorb other people's caca. You don't have to smooth everything over. Your job is to maintain your peace, not to maintain the family system. And they're going to want you to, but that's not your job. It never was. Because here's the thing, you can't heal your entire family system. You can only heal your place inside of it. And sometimes that healing just looks like holding that boundary that's going to be new and shaky if you're just starting out. It means stepping outside to breathe, detaching and just letting someone be wrong about you. Maybe declining that emotional caretaking role. Staying kind to others without abandoning yourself. Healthy families teach you your truth won't make you lose love, but if your family didn't teach you that, you can learn it now. You can learn it with safe people, with support, and with lots of practice. You learn it with boundaries, and you create that self-trust, and then the cycle continues in a healthy way, and you get to reparent your nervous system. You get to model healthy boundaries for yourself, and you get to practice being that adult you have worked so hard to become, even around the people who taught you the opposite. So if you're heading into Thanksgiving feeling anxious, heavy, or unsure, you are not doing anything wrong. You're just walking into a room full of ghosts, like old patterns, old roles, old expectations, especially if others in your family haven't been doing work on themselves. But this year can be different, not because they change, but because you do. You can honor that past without repeating it. You can be loving without being available for dysfunction. You can be present without being responsible for the emotional climate. And you can belong to them without abandoning yourself. And if boundaries weren't modeled for you, you're not behind. And you're not the bad guy in your family. You're just learning late what you should have been taught early. So please be gentle with yourself this week. If anything resonated today that you want to try it. See what happens. And remember, you're doing very brave work. So today we talked about how this week we're looking at how our family shaped the way we think about boundaries and why holiday gatherings like Thanksgiving can tend to reactivate old roles and survival strategies. Many people didn't grow up in homes where autonomy and honesty and emotional accountability were modeled. So instead, they may have learned to walk on eggshells, read the room, anticipate reactions, and shrink themselves to keep the peace. But as adults, boundary work isn't just communication practice, it's reparenting work. And it's giving ourselves that emotional permission we never got. Maybe to rest, to say no, to detach, to step away, and to honor our limits when others don't understand them. Because just because they don't understand them doesn't mean your boundaries don't make sense. Thank you so much for taking time in this busy week to listen to this. I hope this was helpful. If you need support, reach out, do a power hour with me. Look in the show notes, connect with one of the courses or the coaching group that I have. There you can get some real healthy support to keep you growing. Okay, so pay it forward, keep focusing on you, and I'll see you next time.
We hope you took away some useful insights and tools you can begin using right away. If you did, please leave a positive review and share on your social media. Because could you imagine if everyone in your life really got it together? Remember, own it now, so you can really own it later.